Hello everyone and welcome to From Mob to Mike.
We've been spending the last few weeks diving into the lives and content of three well-known former mob guys, John Alite, Cutolo Jr., and Spado. They've all got podcasts, interviews, and social media accounts, but the question is, are they really reformed, or are they just using their past to stay relevant and maybe make some money? We're going to break down their online presence and how they talk about their past and whether it feels honest, staged, or a little bit of somewhere in between. I am your host, Taylor, and I am introducing Shay to talk about John Alite.
Hi Taylor.
Hello,
nice
welcome
to meet
today.
you. Thank you for having me
That
on
was
the
really
show,
good.
first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, let's get into it. All right, so I looked into John Alite. He was tied to the Gambino family, worked as an enforcer, did time, and then ended up cooperating with the government. Now he's everywhere. He's got a podcast, he gives speeches, he's written books, and he's big on TikTok and Instagram too. Here are a few clips I looked at. One where he talks about regretting the violence, like he says, he wishes he could take it all back.
I made this choice, and I'm like, why didn't I do something that was good,
Right.
you know? And whatever, become a lawyer, politician, even though that's not good. They're worse than gangsters, a lot of them. But you know what I mean? It's something that's respected in a good way.
Did you ever have an answer to that?
I'm the hardest judge of myself myself than anybody else.
Did you ever tell yourself like, damn, I'm a scumbag?
Of course.
When do you think the first time you ever told yourself that you were a scumbag was?
The last time was about an hour ago.
What about the first time?
Probably the first time I hit somebody with a bat when I was for George Gaddy when I was a kid. I felt guilty even though I did it. I wanted to do it. But I remember when that guy opened the door, he thought I was just remember I was talking about on the other show about a young guy and George sent me to do it.
Right.
And I could have brought somebody with me. I didn't. And he opened the door and he was cocky because he seen it was me and he didn't realize what I was going to do. And I just batted away for a while because he owed George money. And then afterwards I left and I'm like, man, because he was screaming, the guy was screaming, and you had no real mercy. And I'm just like, well, you know. And then you realize you just prostituted yourself out for a couple of bucks, and then that never stopped. You know.
Another where he's giving life advice, kind of like a mobster meets motivational speaker vibe. And one from Instagram where he's promoting an anti-bullying event.
The X I want is extra money. No extra stress, no extra worries. If I don't find a next I not in a hurry, I go eat some jollof and get thick like Molly. Cause you see this body, boy, you can't touch this. I already level up. Don't waste it if you're done with it.
So on the surface, yeah, it sounds like redemption, but honestly, the way he tells these stories still kind of glorifies that lifestyle. There's music, slow motion edits. It feels like Netflix, not really a confession. He also makes money from all this, books, merch, appearances. So is he sorry? Maybe, but he's definitely building a brand off of his past.
Do you think he believes in the whole redemption thing, or is it just a big business move?
I think it's both. He knows how to work an audience. He plays the tough guy in Survivor Carnival. But it does feel calculated. There's remorse, but it's packaged, you know?
I understand.
Yeah.
And next is Becca to talk about Bill Cutolo Jr. Hello, Becca. Welcome today.
Taylor. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk. I love having a microphone. Next up in our list of mobsters is Bill Cutolo Jr. His story is heavy, so get a little prepared, but his dad, also known as Wild Bill, who was very wild, was a high-ranking guy in the Colombo family, and he ended up getting killed by the same people that he worked with. Backstabber. And Bill was involved in the life for a while, but eventually he flipped and left, and since then he's been doing interviews and running a podcast. And I looked at a few clips too, one where he goes into detail about the mob structure, like how orders were given and carried out, and then also one where he gets emotional about losing his father.
Was a huge part of my life where I was in denial and I was being very hypocritical. And it wasn't until, me doing a lot of self-reflection and realizing that, my dad had put other sons, other families in the same position that I and my family were in.
Right.
And it took a long time for me to digest that. But it is what it is.
Right.
So who am I to sit here and to keep being angry with a certain life that we both know that that's part of the life, I didn't want to see my father get killed.
Lastly, one where he's endorsing a new episode that dives into mafia life. But what stood out to me in all this is that, yeah, he says he's changed, but also he's still leaning into that identity, and you'll see hashtags like mafia style, hashtag Omerta on his posts. So there's still that mafia branding happening, and I just think that's a little dirty.
Do you feel that he's trying to move forward, or is he still stuck in the past?
Honestly, I would say he's still stuck in the past. He clearly has pain and trauma. I'm no psychologist, but he clearly does. And he also still is making content that plays into the mob myth, lifestyle, narrative, romanticized version. And I don't know if that's healing or just strategy, but maybe he's taking it as both.
And now we have Shay back to talk about Ori Spado.
Hope you didn't miss me too much.
Now let's talk about Ori Spado. He's kind of the low-key one of these three, and a little bit older and more mellow, and not all over TikTok like Alite, so he's much less globally known. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Spado's been called the Hollywood mob boss. He was involved with the Colombo family too, served time, and now he's out doing interviews and trying to set his record straight, like a lot of these guys. These clips, though, I found are really different from the other two. You have a YouTube interview where he talks about forgiveness and moving forward. Then there's a quiet TikTok quote edit, nothing overly flashy. And then his podcast where he reflects on morality and regrets. Not in like a dramatic way like these other guys that we've seen, but just a more personal and down-to-earth, kind of a more sincere way.
Watch television. You see these movies, you think it's a glamorous life. It is not.
No, not at all. Just listening to a young man, D1, on the way up here, and he was talking about a lot of the things that these rappers are rapping about, get a lot of these kids in trouble. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that go with this gangsterism that a lot of people just don't, they don't get it.
People don't understand.
So what hit me is that he doesn't seem like he's chasing fame as much as these other guys. He's not pushing his merch on his supporters. He doesn't dramatize everything. He seems more sincere, like I said.
Of these three mob bosses that we talked about, do you think he's one of the most genuine?
Yeah, probably. He's not profiting much. He's not hyping himself up. And when he talks, it feels more of like a reflective thing than a performative thing. So yeah.
Whoa!
Woohoo! Yeah!
Where do we land on this? Are these guys reformed or are they just rebranded?
With Alite, I think he's definitely changed some, but the business side kind of overshadows that. It feels like a performance more than anything, and he's honestly a lot.
We're talking about Cutolo and his complex. I mean, he's trying, but he's still too close to the identity that he claims to have left behind. So I'm coming on the edge on this one, but also agreeing with Shay. He's definitely changed some. Could see more though.
Spado feels the most real. Like I said, he doesn't come off like he's chasing those likes. He seems like someone who's actually thought about what he's done and why it matters. And you know, this isn't to say that like the mob lifestyle is super redeemable, but like it does show some sort of bravery to be able to seem regrettable about your actions, and I think he's the best of the three, even though they're probably not the best people. Can I say that?
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on From Mob to Mike. See you next time.
Woo!
People at my God. Hello, I'm your host Taylor, and I'm introducing Shay as John Alite.
So I'm not actually John Alite, I'm just talking about him.
Oh, next here comes Becca to talk about Bill.
Let's talk about Ori Spado,
That's me.
Spatula.
That's me.
Little man.
Mario!
Luigi.
How you been, man?
I've been good.
Mwah.
Who's your friend?
My friend's here, Wayne. How's the family?
Family been good.